What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing back with another video. And today, man, we got a great matchup, great unification match Saturday, April 30th, between none other the fearless Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. It's a great, highly anticipated matchup. This is one I'm definitely excited for. I'm from Jersey. Shakur's from Newark, New Jersey, so I'm definitely supporting him 100% of the way. I definitely can't wait to see this fight April 30th. Shakur Stevenson is 17-0, 9 KOs. He's just 24 years old. He's a southpaw, 5'7", 68-inch reach. He's fighting out of Newark, like I just said. His last fight was October 23rd of last year. We got a 10th round TKO over the tough veteran Jamel Simplified Herring. Stevenson was just dominant from the opening bell, from start to finish. He didn't lose a round. He looked spectacular in his performance against Jamel Herring. I think he beat him more convincingly than, Herring's ever been beat in his career. He did a hell of a job, Shakur Stevenson, controlling distance, range. He's one of the best in boxing at controlling the pace, the distance, and the range of a fight. He barely gets hit. The kid only gets hit about 4.7 times a round. That's just simply not enough to get the job done. It's just hard to lay a hand on him. And like I said, he won from round 1 to round 10. He didn't lose any second of any round. Jamel Herring was tough. He competed. He never gave up, but it just wasn't enough. And, Shakur Stevenson was just on a whole nother level that night, and it showed. He did a hell of a job. He swelled Herring's face up. He cut him over the eye as well. I mean, he just did a masterful job. It was a beautiful boxing display. I mean, he showed you, the growth in there. It got to a point where he started stepping to Herring and, slipping shots and blocking shots and countering him, and he continued to break him down until, they eventually stopped the fight. It's just a great performance, man. It's not too much negative you could take away from that performance. This kid just continues to get better and better each fight, each time out. And I expect a great performance come April 30th against Valdez. I expect nothing different, man. This kid really, truly can fight. And I think not only is he talented, he's God-gifted. And I think he's going to show a lot of people why he's looked at as a generational talent come April 30th. He's going up against Oscar Valdez, no doubt has more pro experience than him. He has 30 fights. He's 30-0 with 23 knockouts. He's 31 years old. He's 5'5" and a half, the 66-inch reach, fighting out of Mexico, the orthodox fighter. His last fight was September 10th of last year against then unbeaten 16-0 with 8 KOs Robson Conceição, where Valdez was gifted a unanimous decision over Conceição in a fight where I honestly felt like Valdez lost convincingly, in a competitive fight. But Robson made Valdez miss a lot in that fight. He made him miss early and often, and Valdez was never able to get into a rhythm, and, especially early on, he definitely wasn't able to put any rounds together consistently. He wasn't able to mount a consistent attack, especially early on, where Conceição made him miss. He slipped punches, dodged punches, blocked punches. He did a lot, man. He made Valdez, look amateurish, one-dimensional, so to speak. He wasn't able to land any of that power that we known to see him land on him. He just wasn't able to do that against Conceição, and he, in my honest opinion, was outboxed convincingly. Conceição was able to cut Valdez. He had a couple cuts over his eye, I believe, in that fight. And like I said, he didn't look good, especially early on. Now, as the fight wore on, Conceição did slow down just a bit, and Valdez, to his credit, he kept trying, and he was able to pick up the slack just a little bit. He did better in the second half of the fight, but I still felt, honestly, that it just wasn't enough to win the fight. Conceição was deducted a point in round 9 for hitting behind the head. But even with that 1-point deduction, I just don't think that was enough to warrant him to lose the fight, especially by a unanimous decision. He was able to, just neutralize Valdez's power. He was able to nullify his work by smothering Valdez at times in the fight. Like I say, he was slipping and blocking punches, and he just did a good job at timing those right hands from Valdez, and he was never able to hurt Conceição or hit him with anything that had him in trouble, and he had Conceição had Valdez looking sloppy, inaccurate, and amateurish at times. Very one-dimensional in that fight, and I was surprised to see, such limited adjustments in that fight. That's one thing I noticed. I mean, he did make some adjustments toward the second half of the fight because then he was able to land his offense a bit more. But I think it was more so because of, Conceição possibly slowing down just naturally in the course of a fight. You kind of slow down, and with Valdez being, having a strong will, he just never gave up. He was able to do some things in the second half of the fight, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. I mean, even the punch stats will tell you that. Valdez landed a total of 83 punches, while Conceição landed a total of 141 punches. That right there should tell you, the punch stats don't always say it, but that should tell you who had the more consistent work and who landed the more clean, effective blows. And it definitely was Robson Conceição by a mile. Valdez did a lot of loading up. Like I said early, he was missing. Never hurt Conceição or anything. And he was just outboxed and given a gift decision. And the difference between Conceição and Shakur Stevenson come April 30th is Shakur Stevenson is levels above Robson Conceição, especially, from the defensive standpoint. And, if Conceição was able to make you miss, like I said, Shakur Stevenson only gets hit a little over 4 times a round. So when Valdez hit him, he got to make him pay. And I just don't believe that he's going to land that one big punch that he's looking for. You're going to have to bring a great game plan, a great strategy, and you're going to have to be able to implement it consistently over a 12-round period to compete with this kid. If you are unable to do that and you're going to be headhunting the way you were against Conceição, you can cancel your chances of beating this kid. You're not going to be able to come in there and just land one big punch, knock him out how you did Burchelt or how you did some of these lower level opposition fighters that you fought in the past. I mean, whether Valdez wants to, agree or not, this is a step up for both fighters, not just the young Stevenson, but for Oscar Valdez as well. He's never fought a fighter like Shakur Stevenson with his skill set, with his time and his patience and his poise at such a young age. And I believe Stevenson is, wise beyond his years. He's a little ahead of his time, so to speak. And I think he's levels above Valdez as well. I think if you're being honest, the only thing Valdez does better than Shakur Stevenson as a fighter, can't really say he does it better. He just has more power. That's obvious. I'll give him that. But I mean, outside of the power, I don't see anything that Valdez does better than him, except I'll give him some inside fighting. Valdez can fight on the inside, and Shakur Stevenson, his fights, he tend, fight from the outside, behind the jab, pick you apart and pick his shot as well. I'm not saying he can't fight in the inside, but he chooses not to. Most of his fights are fought on the outside, the mid-range. His transition from offense to defense is beautiful. Stevenson is usually always in a position to punch or get out the way, so I think that's what makes him tricky. And I think defensively, he knows how to use just enough movement to get out of the way of punches, doesn't overexert himself or doesn't use unnecessary movement. So you count him, gassing out. You could count that out. He won't gas out. He's going to be in shape, and his work is going to be consistent. And I think Shakur Stevenson is going to surprise some people in this fight. I think if it gets to a point where Valdez is missing early and often and he's just unable to land on the target, I think Shakur Stevenson's confidence is going to grow, and I think he's going to press forward. And I think he's going to be looking to try to stop Valdez, and I think that's going to shock a lot of people. Valdez has a chance. This is a 50-50 fight, on paper, but skill-wise, I feel like Shakur Stevenson on another level, and he's going to show exactly that come April 30th, man. I think it's going to be his coming out party. He will unify the titles. He will walk out of that ring April 30th with his WBO title and Oscar Valdez WBC title. That's my thoughts on the fight. Y'all get in the comment section. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know who y'all got winning, Stevenson or Valdez. And as always, get in that comment section and let me know if I gave Shakur Stevenson or Oscar Valdez their just due. Because that's what I do over here at Just Do Boxing. To the next one, I'm out. Peace.